I was actually really hoping I'd get to go first. I'm Jason Pinter, as David said, I'm the author of the Henry Parker series, The Mark, The Guilty, and The Stolen. The Stolen is the new one that just came out a couple weeks ago, and Mark was nominated for the Barry Award, the Strand Magazine Critics Award, which had lost up to Marcus, great gracefully. And the
I didn't win gracefully.
You accepted gracefully.
Yeah.
And the Romantic Times Reviewer's Choice Award. So the third novel in my Henry Parker series just came out. It's called The Stolen. And I guess I'll kind of talk a little bit about how those series came to be. I've been a huge crime fiction fan for years. I actually started out, I live in New York City. I lived there my whole life, and I grew up on a street that was a couple blocks from a pretty well-known mystery bookstore called the Black Orchid. And every week or so, my father would come back with like a gigantic shopping bag, like filled with like 20 books, and he would plow through those and just hand them to me. And that's really how I got to love mysteries. So I kind of knew in the back of my head I always wanted to write a mystery or a thriller. But really, when it came time to write my first one, I felt I kind of wanted to do something a little different. I felt like there were a lot of political thrillers or a lot of medical thrillers, PI novels, stuff like that, and I felt like there were a lot of people doing those books better than I could. And if I tried to do something like that, it would kind of come off as a little bit second-rate. So I decided I wanted to write a protagonist that was a little closer to my age. I think I was 24 when I started writing The Mark. So actually we're going to do a three-card Monty after this. So I decided I wanted my protagonist to be someone a little closer to my own age. So Henry Parker is 24 in the novel, which is the age I was when I started the book. He comes from Bend, Oregon, up to Big Bag, New York City as a newspaper reporter. And unlike, I think, a lot of protagonists, he doesn't come out with a lot of baggage. I thought it would be more fun to kind of watch this character kind of accumulate baggage as he went along. So he kind of comes in, he's fresh-faced, naive, a little optimistic, a little hubristic, and he really wants to kind of wipe away a lot of the stains that the journalistic industry has accumulated over the years, like Jason Blair and Stephen Glass. Of course, then ironically, on his very first real assignment, he ends up walking into a buzzsaw, finds a man tied to a chair, his wife tied to the radiator, being beaten by a strange guy in a trench coat. He ends up getting involved, the shot goes off, the man is killed, and he wakes up the next morning in an alley with his picture on the front page of the newspaper with the words "cop killer" on it. So immediately he has to find out, what happened, who was that guy, who, all of a sudden the whole smorgasbord of people want to kill him for reasons he doesn't know. And I thought that was a good way to kick off the series, and how he dealt with that is explored in future books. And the new one, The Stolen, it features a normal suburban family, typical suburban family, sitting at dinner, and the doorbell rings, the mother goes up to answer it, and she opens the door, and standing on the front porch is the young son who was kidnapped 5 years ago. And he's standing on the porch, not a scratch on him, looking like he just got off the school bus with no memory of where he's been for 5 years. And of course, it's up to Henry to kind of investigate that. And of course, what he finds is something a lot larger and much more nefarious. So that's it.
I'm Marcus Sakey. My latest book is about a teenager who lives under the stairs of his abusive step-parents and then discovers he's a wizard.
That'd make a good movie.
Now, I should probably clear up that joke about not accepting the award gracefully. I like to think I accepted it gracefully. I just then dropped it on the concrete.
Yeah, that was graceful.
That part was less graceful. My new book is called Good People. It's the story of a regular couple, just a sort of a loving couple who are trying to have a baby, and they're not having any luck with it. And they're going through fertility treatments, and the cost of that, and credit cards, and just life is killing them. They're getting buried in debt, and they're kind of losing track of their dreams and each other in it. Now one day they hear a smoke alarm in their tenant's apartment, and they investigate. They find him dead, and close to $400,000 in his kitchen. And it seems like the answer to a prayer. But I will tell you this, a little secret from, from a crime writer. If you come on $400,000 in somebody else's kitchen, do not take it. Their logic is that this guy was kind of a recluse. They convinced themselves that maybe it was just one of those sort of news of the weird stories. It was a guy who kept his money, didn't trust banks, kept his money in his cereal box, had too many cats, that sort of thing. and they sort of choose not to look deeper than that because it's such an opportunity for them. So they take it, and then bad things happen.
I'm Dave White. As David said, the author of The Evil That Men Do and When One Man Dies, which was nominated for the Strain Critics Award with these two. And
we actually solved it with a fist fight.
Yeah,
I let them take care of it, and
I still have the
I cleaned
bruises.
up.
And recently, the Seamus Award for best. It's nominated for best first novel, best first private eye novel.
Congrats on that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. This is really kind of cool for me, sitting with Jason and Marcus, because when I was writing When One Man Dies, I got to the point at the end of the first draft where it wasn't ready yet, and I kind of knew that, and I was really stuck on it. And it was kind of still a typical PI novel, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And my friend Sarah Weinman gave me a book. She goes, I just read this book. It reminds me of you. The writing style and that sort of thing. You should really read it. And it was Marcus's book, The Blade Itself. And I read it. It was a galley, sorry. And I read it, and I blew through it, and it was one of the best books I had read at the time. And it really was one of those books where I went, wow, you know, like I really want to try and like reach this level. And I went back and I revised the book, my own book, and added other characters and tried to get find the heart that I thought Marcus had in The Blade Itself. And so I revised it and I finished it, and my agent and I were looking for publishing houses to take on the book, and we sent it to about 15, and we got 2 quick rejections, and then a man named Jason Pinter at Three Rivers Press said, hey, I'd really like to buy this book. And I think he's been emotionally scarred since.
I was drunk at the time.
Oh, was that it? Yeah. So, but no, both books feature a private eye named Jackson Dunn. He's a New Jersey private eye. He works out of New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is where my alma mater, Rutgers, is. In the first novel, his friend is killed in a hit-and-run accident, and he decides to find out what happens while his ex-cop partner kind of comes at the case from a different angle. The second novel finds Dunn kind of in a real bad place, and his sister, who he hasn't seen in several years, comes to him and says, listen, you haven't talked to Mom in a while. She has Alzheimer's. She's passing away, and she's been talking about her father. And apparently she's been talking about a murder that had to do with Grandpa, and I would really appreciate it if you looked into it. And he does, and stuff blows up. So, literally. And, you know, those are the 2 books, and you know, it's thanks to these 2 guys, actually. So.
We get percentage of your royalties,
Yeah,
right?
I did.
You didn't think I flew down here?
You didn't get the check?
Okay. I gotta wait by the mailbox.
Yeah.
So,